It is extremely important that this is a successful vehicle when it comes to sales numbers, because if Audi don't sell a lot of these Avants, these wagons, these estates, whatever you want to call it, this breed of vehicle may just die and we're left in a dystopian world where everybody drives SUVs. And to me, that is a very bleak and sad future. I don't want to live in that future. So if you're looking for a large family vehicle, I'd say get one of these instead. So stay tuned for the rest of the video, and I'm going to tell you why exactly you should choose this car instead of any other electric SUV on sale today. Okay, so this magnet gray paint may not be the most exciting color, but Audi Norway really love their grays and blacks when it comes to speccing their press cars. Despite them trying to dull down this S6 Avant in person, it is actually quite stunning. Audi have managed what Mercedes wish they could, make a design that isn't only very slippery, with the Sportback having a drag coefficient of 0.21 CD, but also make a design that is interesting and beautiful. It's about the same size as the Mercedes EQE, so not only has it a bigger trunk measured below the window line, which is the VDA measurement we do here in Europe, but because this is a wagon, it's also more practical. Though it is also worth mentioning that the almost 10 centimeters longer BMW i5 Touring has a trunk almost 100 liters bigger than the Avant's 502 liter capacity. One reason not to get a low-slung wagon like this is if you're super tall and you have back problems. A friend of mine, he's like almost 2 meters tall, back problems, and yeah, you can't live without an SUV. But for everybody else, this is pretty nice stepping down into a car, even though this is, on a dedicated EV platform, so a skateboard platform where you have the battery pack in the floor. You don't feel like you're sitting higher than you would in a normal non-electric wagon, and I think that's an achievement. This car has optional soft close doors that was not an option on the Q6 E-Tron, so that is a very nice touch. This car spec here is pretty expensive. It's like 1.2 million kroners, but I spec'd out one of these. I'm gonna link that down below to about 1,070,000, and at Audi dealers, I bought a lot of Audis, and you can get discounts at a dealer, so I'm pretty sure you can get out of the door with one of these, spec'd the way I spec'd mine, to about 1,000,000 kroner. So I don't think it's bad. Like, if you know how to purchase one of these, if you know how to haggle, maybe you can do financing and get a good deal that way. Either way, there are ways to get this cheaper than the list price. So we're here in the interior, and this is a mixed bag. The new generation of Audis seem to have gone backwards when it comes to interior quality. So the other day I was out, showing a friend of mine this car. He drives a Q8 e-tron, and we pulled up to a gas station just to change up so he could try the car. And there was a guy in a brand new Audi RS6. Mind you, this is, the generation that's on its way out now. But we, looked at the interiors, and that is such a nicer car. I mean, yes, that has options like leather on the doors, but you can even option this with, leather on top of the doors. It has, this faux type of leather on top of the dashboard. That's not very nice. It feels like rubber. Though this car has, the optional sport seats with the Nappa leather interior, ventilated and cooled. Really nice pattern on these. Also the dynamic suede type of material on the doors, and also here on the center console. So there are a lot of niceties, like the steering wheel is nice, but this plastic is cheap. You have hard touch plastics here, a lot of scratchy plastics up here, still around the door handle. While at the same time you have, this really nice perforated steering wheel. You have this, you have the beautiful leathers, you have, that, suede type of material here on the center console, and also on the doors. It's just a weird mismatch. Like, why didn't they just up the quality in the rest of the half of the cabin? Then I and other reviewers wouldn't have anything to complain about. But this being Audi, even though it's moved over to, the next generation MMI Panorama, which is a very good infotainment system, works flawless, this does have a lot of screens, and that means physical buttons have been removed, like HVAC and also other functions are now moved into a screen. It's not as bad as with other manufacturers where they were taking away stocks. You still have, your dedicated blinker stock here, your dedicated washer and wiper stock, and also your cruise control stock here, buttons here. So it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. Volume knob, though, the volume knob position is a little bit strange. You have to reach over there, which is fine, but if you have a drink or something here, you just have to, you know, reach around. So that is weird. But overall, it is a pleasant cabin, though. I think, you know, this MMI panorama infotainment system works better in the Q6 where you sit higher. Here, I just can't sit low enough because then I'm not looking over the dashboard. Like the height from here and also the windscreen is it's a lot higher. So a mixed bag, a lot of piano black plastics, which I'm not a fan of. This is already scratched. This car hasn't done many kilometers. It's already scratched. And when it's so scratched, it gets dusty. Yeah, I know Audi can do better. It's not bad, but looking at other Audis, you just know how much better interiors they can make. And it's a pity at this price point that this doesn't have a nicer interior. Though the seats are comfortable, the driving position is nice. I love the switchgear and I love the fact that there are physical buttons. So it's a mixed bag. There's a lot of things I love, but also a lot of things I don't like about this interior. At first glance, the rear seats of the Audi S6 Avant E-Tron don't seem very big. And on the exterior, this is actually smaller than the A6. It doesn't replace, but where the A6, it, you know, sits along the non-electric version. And that shows in the interior because there's not super amount of knee room. But what I do like is that, you know, I'm not sitting so close to the floor like I was in the Volvo ES90 I saw here a few weeks ago at the launch in Gothenburg. But you're sitting lower than I remember because under thigh support isn't great, and also because I've sat this seat now down because, you know, I like to sit low. There's not a lot of room for my feet underneath the front seat. So this isn't as good as I remember it being when I, you know, went to the static showing last fall, because like under I can put my hands here. So yeah, this is a little bit of a problem with these skateboard platforms when you're not going for an SUV. So I'm gonna maybe say again, give another excuse for getting the Q6 instead of the A6. If you're gonna carry passengers in the rear, mine that has even less knee room. But if you're gonna carry adult passengers and they have long legs, you know, I'm not the longest person. I'm 5'11", 180 centimeters, like an average adult in the West. But like if you're above 6 foot, I mean, headroom is pretty decent, but it's just, you know, that under thigh support that gets me. Legroom is fine, but yeah. But at least you have, you know, a flat seat or flat floor, and in the middle, even, you know, adults can sit here. But yeah, This is actually a case for the Q6 e-tron I didn't think was going to be. Because in that car, you do sit higher off the floor, and it is more comfortable for adult passengers. This being sold in Europe, in Norway, it also has to follow the latest EU mandate when it comes to safety, driver assistance systems and stuff like that, called GSR2, which was implemented in July of 2024. So that means lane keep assist, speed limit warning, and also driver monitoring systems have to turn on if you've turned them off every time you do a key off, key on cycle. And with these cars, there's no keys anymore. You just, you know, have the key on your person and you walk up to the car, and when you walk away from the car, it unlocks. So that's a little bit annoying with a lot of these cars. They're just going to pop out. Maybe check your mail, and then you have to reset all of these systems. So Audi does actually give you a proper key with buttons, though it is very plasticky and cheap in the finishing. And again, I know Audi can do better. So I don't know why some of these things seem to be such cost cutting, because this is already an expensive car, and making it a little bit more expensive to stand out, I think would have, you know, done, or at least, you know, let me pay like with a Porsche. So to turn off driver assistance systems in this car, which I like to do because I find most of them very intrusive, you go into the menu. So you have, you know, these shortcuts up to the left here, and then you go into driver assist. So what I've done, because you have 8 tiles here and 6 of them you can customize, I've made one of them the driver assistant settings here. So I also have maps, I have phone, I have settings, I have charging, Apple CarPlay, and your driver assistant system settings. So to turn off that driver monitoring or distraction alert, you can just tap there, and then also your speed limit warning, that is off. And to turn off lane keep assist, Audi still have a hard button. So on the outer side of your blinker, you just hold that in for 2 seconds. And this also toggles between your auto steer and your adaptive cruise. So I love, you know, the functionality here that you do have all of these physical buttons. Audi haven't strayed too far away from what they used to be. But hopefully in the future, we'll see more and more car manufacturers, you know, giving us more and more hard buttons. So to put the car into drive, you pull the lever here, and the car, you know, turns on when you just sit in the seat. If not, there's a start-stop button here, and the car's now in drive. So if I let off the brake pedal, we'll creep forward. And then you can also adjust regen with these paddles behind the steering wheel, but you see there, it comes to a complete stop, it creeps. If you pull this once more, and you have to do this every time you start the car, you're in now brake regenerative mode. And Audis have had this before, but what's new with this and the Q6 e-tron on the PPE platform is that it's now one pedal drive, and it is very smooth. So this car has adaptive air suspension, the sport version, and it defaults to individual, which I find very interesting. But you also have dynamic, you have comfort and efficiency. The individual setting of this is probably set to a little bit stiffer, so I like to go into comfort. And then this car, even though it's a very low sporty station wagon on 21-inch wheels, like this much tire, not a lot of sidewall, it is super comfortable in comfort mode. Like, it is really, really nice. So this stretch of road where I, you know, normally take these cars, it's just very smooth. Though I noted in my range test, where I also do instrumented testing of road noise, so if you want to see the measurements of this car and how it actually fares in the real world when it comes to range, check that video out. Here I'm just going to talk about, you know, the WLTP numbers. But this car at 120 kilometers an hour faster on these tires and wheels has this resonance that's a little bit annoying. So I think it's due to these tires being very low profile, or maybe these wheels, because I have these exact same tires, the Continental Viking Contact 7s, on my private vehicle, which is a Porsche Taycan, and I don't have the same issue. But yeah, it's just super comfortable and refined. Like, this is what I love about German cars, is that, you know, they spend so much time tuning these cars to be so refined to drive. And they also have, you know, generations upon generations of know-how of how to tune cars when it comes to suspension, steering, inputs, outputs. It's just a really, really refined experience. The steering weight's up nicely, it's precise. There's no weirdities about this car. So this is kind of interesting because a few weeks ago I had the BYD Seal on loan. And that is a very good car in many ways. It looks good. It has a really nice interior. I like the driving position. There are a lot of things to like about that car. But what I didn't like is how that car was tuned. Throttle inputs, brake inputs, and especially the steering. Like, the faster you went with that car, and I'm not even talking fast, I'm talking like normal motorway speeds, the steering would be unnecessarily heavy around center. It was just weird. This is light around center, and once you know, load up the wheels, it goes heavy. So this is so easy to drive this on any types of road fast, and over these speed bumps, this is such a nice thing. So we're in the S6, and the reason to get the S6 over the normal Quattro is, of course, the performance. So this has dual electric motors, and that is a really bad hole that there. This is just so smooth. Dual electric motor, so that means all-wheel drive, 551 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.9 seconds. Top speed 240 kilometers an hour, and this is a fast thing. So we're gonna put it into dynamic mode here. Just gonna let this car pass. Audi Q8 e-tron. And this thing, you know, once you give it a little bit of throttle, you get that sound also. Suspension stiffens up, steering becomes heavier. Yeah. This is a real performance car. And what I really like here is that it has a top speed of 240 kilometers an hour, so they're not limiting this. Of course, this is an Autobahn cruiser. And later this year, I'm going to the IAA in Munich, the electric car show, where I have been, you know, the past few years. And every time I've driven a car down there. So the first year I drove my own private vehicle, my Audi e-tron GT. The last time I drove a Mercedes EQE 43 AMG SUV. And I'm going to ask Audi for one of these. This is such a good car. So in sport mode or in dynamic mode, It's just really taut. It's just super sporty. Is this the best driving electric car on the market? Like when it comes to blend of comfort, quietness, and sportiness, having that dual personality? I think it just may be. Maybe this is just a little bit better polished when it comes to the comfort than a Porsche Taycan, but at the same time it is very close when it comes to sportiness. And also you can have this with the performance of a Taycan, Sport Turismo or Cross Turismo for a lot less money, like a lot less money. As I said, you can get one of these probably for around 1 million kroners out the door, pretty nicely spec'd. If you want a Taycan with anything close to that performance in a wagon, you're like 1.6 million. So yeah, like this is a great car, and this performs better in my range test, so check out that video, and also in my long trip test. This is also better than the wagon version of the Taycan. So yeah, like I think this car, yes, it's expensive. Yes, you know, the interior isn't the smoothest. And, you know, this is such a nice, even with the suspension set to its stiffer mode, it's still very solid and comfortable. But despite, you know, this interior being a lower grade than I think the price demands and also what Audi is known for, it's hard to deny that the packaging here, when you're getting the range, you're getting this charging speed, you're getting the kit, you're getting the refinement, you're getting the space, you're getting a wagon, you're getting, you know, this battery pack, the long trip capability of this car. I can look past the interior not being the nicest, but just this time, Audi, give me the options to, you know, option it out with nicer materials and also for a facelift. Yeah. Last thing I want to mention, this has the virtual mirrors that are an option, which is just a waste of money. I mean, they're better than the first generation, but they're still not good. I mean, they're fine on the motorway, but parking, I really don't like them. Why try to invent the wheel again when you really didn't have to? So there we go, guys. That is my review of this, the new Audi S6 Avant E-Tron. And I hope I've convinced you why you should get this instead of any other electric SUV. That is, if you're looking for an electric vehicle in this price segment, because it can get expensive. But my God, is it a nice way to spend a lot of money. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.